What is up, Virgo? I'm going to enjoy this reading. Your meditation, as soon as I called him in, I started giggling and laughing. Can I help you? Yeah, I'll be back. Okay. I had to pop in for this reading. I kept trying to do something else, and they're like, no, go do this reading. So I'm doing it. Someone here has a parental figure, a grandparent, but it is definitely a parent or grandparent. And I kept hearing songs, and I heard, she don't know, I'm making big, big plans, and she don't know, and she don't know. It's a country song. I have no idea. I think it's called Big, Big Plans, but I don't know who sings it. And then I heard, na, 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 getting jiggy with it. So, couple things there. Someone who's passed on that is very close with you, intricately involved in your story, who just thinks you are the cutest thing ever. The cat's meow is what I heard. Um, yeah, you're the cat's meow, and you have been so frustrated. Oh, you've been so frustrated with them and the way things are going because you don't know what's going to happen, how things are going to work out, and life sucks, and I need money. And the whole time, they are giddy and laughing and smiling and saying, and she don't know, and she don't know, we're making big, big plans. And it could be he. That's just the lyrics to the song. Okay, so there's something brewing. It is major. It is huge. It is exactly what you want and need. And the way it comes is so surprising to you. So, like, you are going to be so enamored. It's going to be weeks later, and you're going to think about it, and you're going to pinch yourself and kind of chuckle, like, how in the hell did this happen? It's going to blow your mind how this works out. And it's a good surprise. I cannot quit smiling. I really can't. I'm so happy for you, Virgo. You've come such a long way. We are so proud of you. You have healed your heart. I'm talking, and this is source speaking. You have healed your heart that would be equivalent to 1,000 other people's broken hearts. That's how much pain you've carried in this life. And maybe it wasn't the worst of that circumstance, but you had so many different pains and so many hats in different areas where you just dealt with an immense amount of trauma. And some of it you don't even recognize as trauma. And you healed it. You are so powerful. You don't give up. You're tenacious. You're beautiful. You're everything that we wanted you to be before you came into this physical body and more. And that is from your inner being. You're about to come into a game-changing strategy. Let your feelings out, all of them, even the ones that scare you. All right, I'm getting an energy here. They're showing me a vision of you being like you're too tight and rigid and feel boxed in with your emotions. And it's because society has told you you have to fit all of your big emotions in this small little box. But your emotions, to fully feel them and release them, need to be expressed outside of the box. They want you to express it outside of the box. So if that means standing in your kitchen and screaming at the top of your lungs and beating your chest, do it. It may feel funny, but you know what? It also may feel good. You may feel silly for doing it, but you also may find relief. So they're wanting you to try new ways to release. Something about screaming. Like scream therapy would be good for someone here. it's like just lashing out, like just screaming out into the ethers. And the universe understands those screams, understands the energy, the vibration of those screams. It's understood by the universe. You don't have to understand what you're feeling to heal it. And that's something they want you to use to free yourself. Free yourself. You don't have to understand fully why you are feeling something. Sometimes, so I had this experience years ago, and it was completely manufactured by source, and you wouldn't think that based on the circumstances, but it was. I had found out 5 years after my mom passed that she had cheated on my dad through a video he found of her with a man. And I was livid. Like, I was so hurt. I was so betrayed by this. I didn't understand anything that was going on. And then it was after that experience, I went, hold on. Let me make sure I tell the story right. Let me get the events sequenced right here. Oh, never mind. I'm sorry. I was going to tell you this story in great detail, but they told me not to because I have an ex and he has a sex that watches this channel. He thinks I don't know. He's actually got a few sexes that watch this channel, so maybe they'll all become friends. But anyway, I can't tell you that story. They don't want this person knowing those details yet. So I can't. I apologize for that. I'm sorry. So let your feelings out. Be authentic. Anything else is just exhausting. You're too amazing to follow anyone else. Forge your own path. I can tell you this part. This is the part they want me to tell you. So there was a night I had found out my mom was unfaithful to my dad, and if you knew my family, I always grew up thinking my parents had the perfect relationship. They were the only couple that stayed together. All my friends had divorced families, had problems, and my parents just seemed to really get along. And to me, it looked on the outside like things were good. Well, apparently it wasn't, and it was during COVID, and I was going to the grocery store, and I just found this out. Everything was shut down. And that very first day, I saw one of my favorite restaurants. I saw one of my favorite restaurants open and out on the patio, and I was like, oh my God, I'm going to go there. I'm going to have a drink. So I go to this restaurant, and I go to the outside patio, and I get a glass of wine. And next thing I know, this man, a father, a son, and a grandson who were all sitting there with their wives and girlfriends or whatever. And they saw me by myself and said, hey, come on over. And we just had a good old time, and they all bought me drinks. So I went from zero to blacked out in no time. And next thing I know, I'm in a parking lot, puke all over me, and the cops are there. And I'm like, what? And I just find this out, and I call my dad, because of course they didn't want me to get in their car, probably because I puke all over me. And I get in the car and with my dad, like, she cheated, I can't believe it. I'm, so upset about my mom. And when I get home, I have to puke. And as I'm puking, all of these weird messages started coming out of me. Things that have never been said to me. They were atrocious things. Things that I've never experienced. Things that didn't make sense. Wasn't my dialect. Wasn't my tone or my family's tone. And it was coming out. As I was puking, these messages just kept flowing out. And I started to get confused, and I sat up for a minute like, what? And then I heard in my mind, just go with it. All of the trauma that's stuck in my energetic DNA, that's stuck in my chakras, was all being released. So as I was puking out that pain, they were giving the messages to the pain in my mind as it was coming out of my body. And I know that sounds stupid. It sounds so weird. But if you think about creation in general, isn't it all weird how it all started? Like, things are way out there. So this is not far-fetched. When you have Earth, and then your body is a little Earth. Earth gets rid of her pain. She screams and cries and yells. You know, she gets rid of it. We have hurricanes, we have storms, you know, we have tornadoes, we have all kinds of stuff. All of that energy has to be shook up. And I feel like that's something that's going to happen. You're going to be, Source is going to kind of fabricate an experience for you, a contrasting experience, so that it triggers something in you and you have an emotional reaction. You're going to be in a safe place when this happens. They need you to know that. This isn't something you're going to be doing around other people. This will be something where you will be by yourself, safely expressing this. So don't worry about when it's going to happen. All of that is already pre-planned by Source. Okay? It is pre-planned. You don't need to do anything else. You doing this and allowing that pain out, whether it's through vomiting like me and them giving those weird messages and telling me to just go with it, or if it's sweating, or if it's crying, or if it's screaming, whatever you do to release these emotions. But they're telling me physical exertion, like something physical has to come out of you at the same time you're healing these emotions. So it could be tears, could be sweat, could be vomit, could be going to the bathroom, number 2, you know, number 1, it doesn't matter. All of that is releasing dense energy. It's helping you to become more authentic. And when you feel overly tired, that is you not being on your path. When you're except when you're healing. Now, if you're crying and you're healing, your body is going to be tired. It's going to feel like it ran a marathon. And that's okay. This is going to be a short, intense burst. This is going to be a short, intense burst of emotion that you have. Almost like you see something and go, boo, and the dam breaks. But that's it. That's all it is. And you're by yourself. It's almost like you see something on your phone that just really, you know, upsets you, is what it feels like. Okay? They want you to know you crying out all that pain is making space. So look at it like this. All of these are unexpressed, unprocessed emotions from all kinds of lives and years, right? All kinds of lives and years. As you cry, you work out, you start taking, look, 10 is right here all together. I have plight and 10. So you are at the very end of grappling with something that's really, really hurt you. Look, the Z, Omega, you're at the end. But look at this as your pain. As you scream and you punch and you're thinking of something the thing that hurt you, you're pulling this out of your chakras. You're making space. So as you make space by taking away all this pain, all right, you make space, then you get to fill it. Then you get to fill it with the things that you want. All right? Like you get to fill it with hugs, and you get to fill it with money. You know, you get to fill it with maybe you're an author, maybe you want to have a child, maybe you want to buy a house. You know, like, do you see what I'm saying? You replace the pain, but you've got to clear out the vessel in order for the pain. You got to clear out the vessel of the pain in order for you to have enough room for the good stuff to fit. Okay? You're somebody, you have an eclectic view on life. And while it comes so naturally to you and makes total sense to you, it's like almost automatic. It's not like that for other people. But something about the way you explain your process is so freeing for people. And I feel like that this part of the message came out, and was it Gemini? I don't remember. But it's so freeing for other people. I don't know why this is significant, but they're telling me it is. I love tea. Oh, God. TF. So maybe a twin flame, or it could be initials. I love tea. And you're the omegas of your stream, which means that you're here as a heavy hitter to take on some, oh my goodness. Take on the harder stuff. Look, remember how I said screaming, having scream therapy earlier? Look what's here. Rage. You have got to learn to express this in a healthy way and not be afraid of it. It's almost like if you scream, you're like, oh, that's not polite to do. You know, they want you out of that box. They want you to come out like a lion roaring, beating your chest, or a gorilla. They really want you to let loose. You don't have to, why am I throwing these in here? You don't have to be so rigid with your emotions. These are not meant to be, look, pay. Do you see this? The word pay. I have P-A-Y, and it's on the calculator, and with a heart. Look at that. This is how you get paid. You are being paid to heal your pain and move on from it and be authentic. You are somebody who is meant to forge your own path. You're different. You're eclectic. Your views are different. And that is why you are so good at what you do. You are just in an environment where you're not surrounded by people who have any interest in what you do. Okay? Nobody has interest in the things you have interest in. And you're going to find your soul tribe very soon and be paid by somebody. I just heard you're bringing a new fresh perspective to twin flame connections. Like somebody hears in a twin flame and you and your twin flame were meant to do things completely opposite and different than typical twin flames, to show the world that the options for union and healing is limitless. So how you're going about doing it is different than maybe mainstream twin flame energy. Somebody needed to hear that. There's something very, very different about your energy. Your readings are always much longer than the rest of them now. I get all caught up in my Virgos. I love Virgos. I don't know what it is. This energy is just... Time to decide. Make a decision based on your heart's true desire. Someone here needs to take a long think. Have a long think. These words are giving me. About what you want. Like, think about what you really want your future to look like. Even if you're not thinking about, like, think about the type of home you want to be in, the location, the style, the work, the feelings you want to feel every day. Do you understand your feelings? They go with you everywhere. Everywhere. So it is important to think about how you want to feel. It's important to understand you get to choose how you feel. Yes, we have things happen where we have a knee-jerk reaction, but you don't have to be like that. And that becomes less and less as you continue on your spiritual journey and start using the energy as your friend instead of your foe. Yippee, yippee, yippee. I don't know why I feel like I should do these. Let's do it. Okay, so the feelings you have to let out are regarding someone you are in a relationship with. It says dark man. Someone who wasn't who you thought they were. Okay. That was there. That was there. When they fly out like that, I keep them where they are because it means that they're important for that card. So the feelings you need to let out are regarding some type of relationship you had with someone that you thought you knew well, that you didn't know that well. And you know what? I feel like you were taken advantage of in many, many different ways, and you don't realize it because you've been taken advantage of your whole life in certain respects. But they want you to finally release that. They want you to finally release that and stand up. That's what it is. They want you to get your, I heard moxie. That's such an older word. They want you to get your moxie back. I like your moxie, you know? They want you to fight for yourself. Like, stand up. Just because this person said, you know what it is? I feel like maybe they hurt you, you hurt them, that, you know, nobody's perfect in a relationship. But it feels like somebody got hurt here. Or, you know, maybe, let's just say this. I'm just going to say this for the sake of this scenario. You did something, you hurt somebody. You feel guilty about it, but your guilt was so, like, unwarranted compared to the situation. You know, it was something smaller. It wasn't something huge, but because you are a genuine person and you're honest, it really affected you, and the guilt ate you alive. The guilt truly ate you alive. This person capitalized on that guilt, and they utilized that, and they purposely tried to put you down. They purposely used their words in manipulative ways. And I'm not saying like they were not direct with their words. They were indirect. And they would say things that they knew would get your mind stewing and circling like this, and then they're smiling the whole time it's happening. That's the energy they want you to release. There is anger here. There is righteous anger, and they want you to release that. They want you to know that you stepping into your authenticity is what's bothering this individual. You stepping into your power, understanding your worth, and feeling amazing is making this person get really antsy and cocky, but in a vindictive way. And, you know, it feels like you're going to stand up for yourself. You're letting your feelings out. You're being authentic. So then here comes the accusations. All right? Accusations come in, but you don't give up. You fight through it. You stand up for yourself because you're too amazing to follow anyone else. You stick true to it, and then you sticking true to it, being authentic by letting your feelings out, brings about someone who's going to be your saving grace to help you out of this situation, to where this person is left looking stupid and put in the same position where they feel an immense amount of guilt. But you're not going to treat them the same way. You're not going to capitalize on their guilt and use it against them, to use them to your advantage. You're not going to do that. You're going to show them the healthy way to deal with guilt through your example. And that's going to hurt them 10 times more than if you were to continue the way you are. Because I'll be honest, they're not hurting right now. They're not. They're loving their life. Whoever this is. That part's not for everybody. This part, I feel like this part was different than the meditation that I got. They just corrected me and said, no, it's not. They're giving you a bigger story. So instead of telling you one thing, they're telling you one thing that's happening, but then they're telling you all the other things that are happening outside of you that you can't see. So basically, it's like sources being your therapist in a way, showing you how to handle and navigate your emotions with these circumstances so that you can come out on top, and it looks like nobody helped you, like you did it all yourself, but really it was you and source. And it feels like that's what it's supposed to be. Your life is supposed to show that you can do this with source and source alone. That's why you're doing, yeah, you're supposed to be able to do this with source and source alone. Do you see this? This is your inner being. It's the first time I've said it like this. But you see how she's holding that string? Picture this string going in through your chakra, your crown chakra up here, and living inside your body and vibrating all the way down to your toes, into the earth. Okay? That's where this string really is. But you see how she's holding it to her heart? This is why you have stayed true to the course, even though it's been so hard. It's because your heart knows you're on the right path. You are. It's the healing that needs to happen so that your heart doesn't have this rigid animosity. And it's because you have not been allowed to express anger. You know, think about it like this. When you are around somebody who's sad or crying, it doesn't bother you nearly as much as when you're around somebody who's angry and ranting and raving. So, although anger is a step up in emotions, to other people, it doesn't look that way, because when you're angry, other people get affected by that. But when you're sad, they don't have to get affected by that. So it's really a selfish thing in that regard. You were taught not to allow your anger to be expressed in a healthy way. Don't you cry, I'll give you something to cry about. You know, get an ass beating from mom or dad. Something like that. Those patterns need to be released. And also, pay attention. It's really important that you understand your moon sign. Whatever sign the moon is in for you in your birth chart, that is how you're going to react when you are up against a wall. I'm a Scorpio moon. I know my reactions now. But for the longest time, how I react, when I went through my spiritual awakening, it was different. Healing was different for me than before, when I wasn't going through a spiritual awakening. And it's because I was self-medicating with benzos from my doctor, Ativan, all that stuff. And so when I had anger or something, I'd pop a pill, stuff it down. Angry again, pop a pill, stuff it down. If you're somebody who's doing that, all that stuff that's been stuffed down, that you took that medicine to suppress those emotions, all that's about to come right back up out. It's got to come out. It's like a volcano. Hot lava, hot molten lava. It's got to come out. Okay, so let's just think about this reading for a second. Where High Priestess. I know, I thought there were two. I thought two cards flew out, but it wasn't. So, this is where you're at now. This is what you're physically experiencing now. The meditation that they gave you earlier, they want you to hold on to that vision as you're going through this. Now, you may not do it in the heat of the moment, but there's a big plan. And do you understand? You emptying your vessel is what allows this handshake to come in. You emptying your vessel. There's anger. Somebody needs, maybe look up some videos or books on how to express repressed anger in a healthy way, just to get ideas. I'm not saying, just to get ideas. What does that look like? Because you're not sitting in front of a therapist and them validating you, telling you it's okay to feel this way. You're doing it at home. And when you're in this vibration of healing, you're not able to hear them at that time. You're only able to hear, whatever vibration you're on. They want you to hold on to the dream, hold on to the vision, keep that in the forefront of your mind, and know that you going through this situation is a means to an end. It is purposeful for you to go through this in order for you to get the dream. This is all about clearing out the vessel, like I showed you earlier. All right, that's what I have for you, Virgos. See you in the next one. Peace and love.